Get out of your head. It is not helping you. If anything, it is holding you back from excelling forward. Replaying the job interview over and over that you didn't get, questioning why you got ghosted from the person you were attracted to, wondering if this idea is actually going to work. Do you want to learn how to get out of your own head? Do you want to be able to brush off any unwanted thoughts with ease? If so, excellent. You have found the right podcast because that is exactly what I'm going to help you do right now. Fire up the popcorn, sit back, relax. Let's dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. Each week on these solo podcasts, we dive into topics to help you become the best version of yourself. Now, do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. This is just my bearded wisdom that I hope brings value to you. Now, if you enjoy this episode at any moment in time, please, all that I ask is that you screenshot this episode on whatever platform you are listening in on, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob-A, that's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's and a Y. Shout out the podcast on your IG story. Let the world know that you tuned into the Bearded Man pod. Come on. And honestly, it helps so much. So those that do on a weekly basis, thank you. Please continue to share it out there and let me know what the takeaway was of this specific episode. If you have not yet signed up for our Stay Dialed In newsletter, you need to do that today. Every Tuesday, coming in hot to your inbox to help you become the greatest version of yourself. Usually 3 to 5 minute read, really short, simple, straight to the point. What else could you ask for? Please head to itsthebeardedman.com to join. Once again, that is itsthebeardedman.com to join. You can also find the link to sign up today in the description of this episode. Get out of your head. Let's say it one more time. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Get out of your head. Would love to kick off today's topic by a great quote that I found on Google. Love Google. Big fan. I hope you guys and gals are too. The mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. The goal is to have a calm mind no matter the situation. Now, it takes reps and a bit of tweaking our perception, but it's most definitely possible. There have been many times in my life where I allowed myself to get caught up in my head, which then causes the mind to be turbulent and very hard to see, right? Examples. I get turned down from somebody that I reach out to who I want a podcast with. And so I immediately think to myself, am I not good enough for a podcaster for them? Why am I getting turned down? Or I show interest in a woman and she doesn't express interest back. I might think to myself, is it my looks? Is it the beard? What is it about my personality that is steering them away? I just don't understand. Maybe I'm not getting the results that I aim for when it comes to running. I might think to myself, what am I doing wrong? Am I not pushing myself hard enough? What is the problem? Now, these are just a few examples of many that have happened in my life at some point and even some recently. And now some of you listening might think, come on, Bob, how could you get in your head about any of those? Well, I wish I had the answer as to why, but the thoughts that arise in my mind, and maybe yours, are not something that I or we can really control for the most part. The only thing that I and we can control is how we respond to these thoughts. The sooner that we can learn to get out of our head and not let these thoughts get to us, the better off we will be in every aspect of our life. Not only will we stop overthinking every situation, but instead we will just flow with life and take it as it comes. We won't spend time or energy over analyzing situations, and instead we will continue to move forward. Our mental health will be much better in balance because it won't be caught up in the hamster wheel of running around in circles in our mind all damn day. From my own experience, there have been 3 crucial ways that allow me to get out of my own head, which we'll dive into right now. Number 1, tell yourself the opposite. When we are stuck in our head, we tend to lean into the negative voice in our mind that we don't have what it takes to achieve X goal, right? That the reason the person left us is because we're not good enough. That the reason we didn't get the job is because we're not smart enough. My challenge for all of you, anytime you're in a situation when shit just ain't going the way that you wish it was going, tell yourself the opposite, that we do have what it takes to achieve X goal. Time just hasn't caught up yet. That the reason the person left us is completely out of our control. And no matter what they say, we cannot let it steer us off course from becoming the greatest version of ourselves. That although we did not get the job, we still bring a ton of value to the table. It is their loss, not ours, and we'll find a better opportunity. Telling yourself the opposite may seem like bullshit, but it really is not, I promise. Most of us are naturally born to think of the negatives in any given situation. I don't know why, and I damn well don't approve of it. It is time that we reprogram our minds to see situations and moments from a different lens, a more optimistic one. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of effort and it may seem imaginary, but it's inevitably going to help us get out of our own head. A recent example in my life, I went on a date with this beautiful gal. Went great. 5 out of 5 stars. I think we crushed it. Invited her out over Halloween weekend, and then come to find out she just was not interested and just wanted to be friends. Now, in a past life of mine, I would have easily whiteboarded everything about me that could be possibly wrong that maybe pushed her away. But today, I am different, and I'm still working on it, but I try not to take it personal. I just keep it moving. And instead of throwing myself a little pity party, I remind myself that I am amazing. I am extremely good looking. Look at this beard. And that I do bring a lot to the table. By telling myself the opposite, I'm able to get out of my own head with a snap of a fingers, and I'm ready to get back to moving forward. So the first way to getting out of your head, anytime you are telling yourself a negative narrative in your mind, stop and instead tell yourself the complete opposite. Force yourself to think positive, which will then allow you to get out of your own head. Number 2, detach yourself from the thoughts that arise in your mind. Now, if you're hearing a statement like this for the first time, you are most likely thinking that this is some hippy dippy bullshit. But, I promise it is not. If you've had any experience with meditation, mindfulness practices, or maybe even yoga, then you may be familiar with this statement. According to Newsweek.com, humans have on average 6,000 thoughts per day. Let me say that one more time. 6,000 thoughts in a single 24-hour period. That is a lot. That's 250 thoughts per hour. That's 4 thoughts per minute. Now, when I hear that, I'm also like, I feel like I have like 10,000 thoughts a minute. I do the math on there. That's a lot of thoughts in a day. I think it's fair to say that for the most part, we don't have complete control over what thoughts do arise in our minds within that 24-hour period. A photo, a movie, a person's name, a song that we hear, an interaction could trigger something from our past and take our mind into a trench for one reason or another. Regardless of what thought does arise, we do have the ability to detach ourselves from the thoughts. As something bubbles up, almost view the emotion or the thought outside looking in and investigate it. That comment from this person makes me extremely anxious. But why? Because I'm unsure if they are right or they're wrong. Okay. But then again, they are entitled to their opinion. Right. So maybe I just need to respect what they have to say, but I don't need to attach myself to their statement. Well, that makes me feel good. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Instead of letting something get attached to us and pull us down, we can instead take note of it, assess it, and decide how we're going to respond to it. Once again, 6,000 thoughts on any given day. There are too many opportunities within those thoughts to completely derail us from having a great day. The sooner that we can learn to not attach ourselves to these thoughts, the quicker that we can actually get out of our own head. So the second way to getting out of your head, detach yourself from the thoughts that arise in your mind. On any given day, humans have 6,000 thoughts that rise in their mind. If we're able to see them from a neutral standpoint and not let them pull us down, we are going to continue moving throughout our day and our lives with ease. Third and final way, Find ways to clear your mind daily. And I talked about this topic on last week's podcast for episode 139, which was on tactics for human optimization, but it needs to be called out again on today's podcast when we're talking about getting out of our own head. One truth I know to be true: we are all guilty of getting stuck in our head, whether people want to admit it or not. Just know that you are not alone. Now that we all know and we're all on the same playing field, let us feel a little bit at ease because we know we're not on some imaginary island solo dolo and we're the only person that is in our head. Everybody does it. What is extremely important is that we find the mediums and ways in which we can clear our minds on a daily basis, whether that is working out, journaling, meditating, talking to a friend, going for a walk around the block. Find the thing that allows you to flush out whatever is on your mind. The best part is there is no right or wrong way to do it. It is totally your call based on what you find works best for you. I will say that, I've talked about these before, that it's not a one size fits all, right? I will always share what works for me, but please know it might not work for you. I journal, I podcast, I run, I talk to friends, and I meditate. All of these techniques are extremely important to my overall well-being. All of them happen at different times of the day, but they all have a positive impact on my life because they help me flush out all the bad stuff in my mind. Please take the time to find what helps you hit that refresh button for your mind. It will make all the difference in the long term. So the third and final way to getting out of your head: find ways to clear your mind daily. There is no right or wrong way to do it. No technique is a one size fits all that works for everyone. So we must test and find what works best for us. Once we've found it, we need to stick to it. To recap, the mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it is difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. It is very easy for any of us to get caught up in our own head because we are humans, and humans have on average 6,000 thoughts on any given day. Although we may not be able to control exactly what those thoughts are, we can control how we react to them. Getting out of your head is crucial for your well-being and your mental health. Speaking from experience, it will have a positive ripple effect on all buckets of your life when you are able to find ways to get out of your head. 3 ways that I have found to be successful in doing so. Number 1, tell yourself the opposite. Anytime you're telling yourself a negative narrative in your mind, stop and instead tell yourself the complete opposite. Forcing yourself to think positive will allow you to get out of your head. Number 2, detach yourself from the thoughts that arise in your mind. On any given day, humans have 6,000 thoughts that arise in our mind. If we're able to see them from a neutral standpoint and not let them pull us down, we're going to continue moving throughout our day and our lives with ease. And number 3, find ways to clear your mind daily. There is no right or wrong way to do it. No techniques are a one size fits all that works for everyone. So we must test and find what works best for us. Once we've found it, we need to stick to it. Challenge for the listeners. That is all you beautiful ladies and gentlemen listening right now. Spend 10 minutes within the next 24 hours and write down a list of things that have been on your mind lately. There is no limit. Put the phone on a 10-minute timer and just keep writing until the alarm goes off. After you've taken the time to make the list, analyze what you've written and try to use the first 2 tactics that we talked about today. 1, tell yourself the opposite of what you wrote. And 2, detach yourself from the thoughts that you've written down. Lastly, find daily techniques that will allow you to flush your brain as often as needed. Questions from the Stay Dialed In community. We had a question coming in from my boy, Robbie Page, who's above me right now as I'm recording this podcast. He said, how to accept things that you can't change. This is a good question, Rob. Let me tell you, it's a great question. 2 words for you. Let go. It is extremely hard and much easier said than done, but it is the simplest explanation. What is done is done. There is no rewind button to go back to a certain situation and change it, accept it. But what we can do is we can learn from it and we can adapt so we are better prepared for the future. Anytime you're beating yourself up for something you can't change, close your eyes and say to yourself, let go. Keep your eyes closed and just follow your breath until you feel that you've calmed down and that the nerves have gone. It is okay. We all wish we could go back and change something that can't be changed. I think that's just human nature. But learning to let go will allow us to accept things that we can't change, which will then allow us to keep moving forward, and it'll help us clear our mind. We did not have a pod review of the week. So if you'd like to be next week's pod review of the week, please head over to the iTunes podcast app, scroll to the bottom of It's the Bearded Man podcast, and write a review. One word, one sentence, totally up to you, but it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. We're at 74 reviews, trying to get to 100 ASAP. So if you would love to help this podcast, please do so today. iTunes pod review. And maybe next week, you will be the pod review of the week. Oh, let's go. If you guys and gals enjoyed this episode, this specific episode, all that I ask, please, please, please screenshot this episode on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. It don't matter. Screenshot it, post it to your IG story, tag me at Babe. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's and a Y. Share out the pod in your IG story. What was the takeaway? How did this episode change your perspective? Was there any nugget, any gem? Did I have anything good to say? Please let me know. This is the best way for me to see and understand what topics are resonating with all of you lovely ladies and gentlemen. So please do so today. I really appreciate those who do so on a weekly basis. If you have not yet already signed up for our Stay Dialed In newsletter, you are missing out. You need to do that today. Head over to itsthebeardedman.com to join. Once again, that's itsthebeardedman.com to join. The link is in the description of this episode. 35 minutes of heaters in your inbox every Tuesday. You're gonna want to sound the alarms when this newsletter comes into your inbox because it's coming in hot. Let's go. That's it. Episode 141, 3 ways to get out of your head. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya.